Hey everybody, welcome back to ACES53 with Ed Parcaut and myself. And today is a Thursday, which means it's Joker Day. And what is a Joker? A Joker is somebody with a special skill or talent that we want to share with you guys. And really it's because Ed and I want to learn about it too, but we put it under the guise of teaching it to y'all as well. So how are you doing today, Ed?
I'm doing good. It's a Thursday.
It is a Thursday. Yeah. So one of the things that
right to our guest, because I'm sure she's busy and got things to do.
I'm getting ready to say, one of the things we've talked about quite a bit is the importance of networking when you get in a room. So don't just go see the speakers. And I know that's controversial for me to say being a speaker, but the connections you need to make is through the networking with the other people that are in the room with you as well. So this week we brought in an expert on that, and that's going to be Miss Ashley Owens.
Hi, guys.
Oh, dang it.
Yeah, hey now. Dance.
That was for the
I want to add one more thing to what you said. I mean, because most of the people in the audience could be on stage.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's so important. And people don't understand that. Most of those people in the audience have just about the same amount of education. I mean, not education, but something to give out that could be
knowledge.
Knowledge put on the stage. Yes. All right. Are we good there, Ashley?
I think so. We'll see. I'll be a little fuzzy today, but we'll find out.
Yeah. Well, that's the way it always works, right? It worked completely fine when we were talking before we hit record, and then after that, it was done. So
I shifted my weight onto my other hip, and then it was like, no, thanks.
Yeah. So Ashley and I met probably a year ago through other connections. I spoke in an event. She was there in the audience as well. And we ended up just talking. People were like, oh, you guys have to get to know each other. And so we met at a place called Tower Club here in Dallas, which is they're tied to, it used to be Club Corp and all those kind of things. So we went there and we met for lunch, and it's really fascinating what Ashley does, because most people suck at networking. You know, they go, they don't know what to do. They throw business cards like they're Chinese stars at people. You know, it's not a good thing. So Ashley, tell us a little bit about what you do that makes networking different.
Sure. So typically when people network, they're usually having one of three different problems. One, they have no idea who to meet. Two, they have no idea where to go. And three, they have no idea who to talk to or what to talk about. And so I found out when I started the business that I had a knack for being able to understand and be naturally curious about what people do and how they navigate through the world. And I didn't really know that was a superpower until I was like, oh, I might be mirroring and matching this person, but I'm genuinely interested in what you're talking about. And I found that most people do not know how to use their voice appropriately when they are trying to talk about themselves. Talking about yourself is great when you know how to do it, and it's awful when you suck at it. So I ended up being a semi-cheerleader for some of my people that I had the privilege of working with, and being able to communicate what they do, basically what they do, what makes them awesome at these events. But networking sucks because it's just, unless you're met with kindness in the activity, you're not really going to want to go out and put yourself out there to a group of people you know nothing about.
Mm-hmm. And it's also better when somebody else is talking good about you.
Yes,
instead
that's
of
secondhand.
Good about yourself.
Yeah, third-party testimonials.
We talked before with Steve Sims' event, and he would say, which would be better. And then he went through the scenario about how you're talking about yourself, or somebody else is talking about you at the bar, how great you are, and everything else. And it's so true. You don't want to self-promote. You want somebody else to promote you.
Yeah, that second reference, or that hey, have you heard about this person? All of that creates some kind of mystery about you, but also gives you that positive reinforcement that tells that person, like, no, this is an actual person that has either used her before, worked with her, spoke with her, and it kind of gives that extra boost of credibility, which is half the battle when it comes to networking, because your reputation is the most important thing you have. But it's also that transaction piece that people always think about is not there unless you limit it to those personal interactions that are very personal, because guys, networking is a personal thing. Like, it's not a one size fits all kind of thing. And so if you understand people, you understand networking. So when I started the business, it came from, I had 23 jobs after I graduated college, and I never got fired. It was mergers, acquisitions, budget cuts. I worked as a personal assistant to a couple celebrities. I've worked as a data developer for eBay Enterprise, all of these things. And I never really understood where my voice was. And so when I started the business, I had left a position. I was selling custom software, and I was awful at it. And then I went to a networking event, and just to get away, just to kind of, move around in a space where I had nothing to sell and nothing to give except me. And that was the first time in my professional career where I could be 100% myself and really just want to help, because I didn't have to think about who's who I was servicing, like who I was giving all this money to help their business grow. And so a gentleman had watched me as I went around this networking event, and I just started asking the questions. I'm like, what do you guys like? What sucks about this for you? Like, what do you really hate about coming to these events? And not the event itself, but just the activity of it. And I started to reach out to every single person at that event. And I just asked the question. And then I built on to the next person. Okay, well, if this sucks, what about this sucks for you? And so I just got a bunch of different services. And I was like, oh, I can find events for you. I can match you up with this person. And, you know, somebody overheard me doing that. He watched me the whole time, reached out and said, hey, would you ever network for somebody at a book signing? I said, sure. Yeah, absolutely. And in 2 weeks, because it was in 2 weeks, I had a website, I had business cards, I had headshots, I had an semblance of service offerings, I had some kind of SOW. And it was the first time in my actual career that I sat down and was like, oh, there's nobody I have to ask permission to do this with. There's no red tape. There's no, oh, maybe you should do that. It was all me, and I called in every favor. And within 2 weeks, I had somewhat of a business.
So you're a procrastinator.
Oh, I am a control freak now. So I went to this event 4 hours away. I networked on his behalf. I drove back again. I think I made like $300. It was nothing. Gave him all the leads, understood who he was looking to talk to, and then the world opened up. And from there, then 8 years later, now I'm the president of a conference. I'm the director of events for this company who hired me full time to do what I do. I have a speaker agent, and I'm also a professor at a college. So I think the benefit of being able to be 100% authentically yourself without worrying about the transactional stuff is really much, you know, embedded in this story.
Wow. I totally agree. And because it reminds me of the most successful insurance agent would talk to one person and say, hey, meet me for lunch next week at this time. And then he would talk to somebody else and say the same thing to them. They both show up at the lunch, and he's like, you guys needed to meet. So this lunch is on me and I'm out of here. And that's cool. So basically that's what you technically are doing for people. Because the best thing I ever did was when I'm at an event, I don't promote myself. I find somebody else to promote. You can ask Brian. I promoted Brian at so many different places. People like, oh, you got to talk to Brian. He's amazing at this face stuff, which I, you know, because the first time I heard about Brian talking about it, we got a guy coming in to do facial recognition. I'm like, why the hell do I want to hear about software?
Right. Well,
I'll tell you some wild stories about those eyebrows.
Yeah. Well, wait, I thought for networking, all we need to know was the one question. Oh, so what do you do? Isn't that the ultimate networking question?
I want to throw up every time someone says that. I have gone accidentally drunk at a conference and someone asked me and threw his business card in my face and I slapped it out of his hand. Wasn't my finest moment, but it was definitely to the point of when you continue to ask people what you do, it just eliminates the commonalities that you can gain by just defining them by what they do for a living. And that drives me nuts because I don't give a, can I curse on this podcast? Are we cool?
Sure.
Okay. I don't give a shit what you do. I don't care. What I care about is how are you providing value in this moment, which is not what you give to me, but what can we talk about that is benefiting us both? Is it making me smarter? Is it making you smarter? Is it a new reference or a resource or, oh, you know what, you actually want to meet this person? Is it genuinely interested in what we're talking about? Because I know that now within 30, not even 30 seconds, I got better at this. It's called speed to trust. Within 15 seconds, I can tell your mood, your attitude, your vibe, and exactly what you're there for. Just because of your personality, your body language, your face, now that I've taken all of Brian's classes, sort of. But understanding people will allow you to be more in control of the narrative and get you further in the networking based on your goals.
All right. So how should people network then?
So the first thing is the preparation.
If they can't hire you, hire you, how should they network?
You want to know who your avatar is, basically who you're looking to meet for collaboration purposes, and then for list purposes, and then for actual prospecting purposes. Collaboration purposes are like, hey, we can go to this event together. We can collaborate on a webinar and an article, something that is, I can see you at another time and we're doing something, some kind of professional activity together. The networking component comes into 3 different factors. Like I said, it's the collaboration, it's the list building, like, hey, they're interested in the education that you provide or some kind of knowledge that you have. So you add them to a list so that way you can be top of mind. And the prospecting part is, you know, going to the event and actually actively asking them for some kind of meeting to talk about what possible services you have to offer or what services that they have to offer that you want to be a part of. So how to network at a conference is the preparation beforehand. You know who the speakers are, who the vendors are, because that's your collaboration piece. They also might know what other conferences to attend, what other organizations they're a part of, what other associations, and being engaged with them allows you to opens up more doors. And then, so it's the preparation. And then during, you have an agenda to follow. What speaker is going to be speaking, what you want to get out of it, and then being able to give yourself time to walk through the conference and genuinely meet people at the bar, at the coffee station, anywhere you strike up a conversation, because you have no idea who you're going to meet. You also have no idea who you're going to impact. And then the prospecting part is you're going to find out specifically what speakers you want to meet, how you're going to be able to get backstage. If you're anything like Brian, you just show up and then hopefully you'll be allowed in the VIP room. And then
well, he wears that outfit for a reason. So like,
it's
oh,
perfect.
you're taking drink orders? Come on back here for the drink orders.
It's perfect. It's the best. And so, and to Brian's point, going up to the organizer, finding out who the organizer is, and then volunteering for that event. Maybe you're the door guy, maybe you're the backstage guy, maybe whatever. And those are different ways of getting into free events. In addition, there's another hack. If you write for anything, whether it's a LinkedIn article or you are attached to like a PR company, or sometimes not Canva, Voyage Dallas, if you write for them, because you can sign up to be a content, whatever, you can ask for a media pass, guys.
Oh, interesting.
And then you can write it on your LinkedIn, on your page, on your vlog or whatever, and then just push it out as much as you can. You don't have to provide any sort of detail. So that's how I usually that's how I got into high level twice. So I didn't pay to go to high level, but the thing is that I wrote about I audited the event. How easy was it for me to sit in the VIP without anybody coming over? How easy it is for me to walk through without anybody checking for my badge? Like basically doing a secret shopper kind of thing. So all in all to say, with networking, you have a plan in mind, and then you follow that plan based off of what the goals are. You have a baseline, and that you have a baseline of what you want to achieve, and then you have the icing on top of the cake. So if you hit 85% of your goals, you're doing just as good as me. If you're going above that, then you're really knocking it out of the park. So I hit 85% of all of my goals when I go to conferences.
All right,
all of the people that I want to meet. Yeah.
Okay, so there's various opinions. I'd like to hear yours as the resident expert on this.
Ooh,
business card? Is it QR code? Is it go ahead now that the phones can touch and share contact information? What's your favorite way for people to share their information? Now, let me preface that with, I can't stand when somebody's already handing you their card when they're first meeting you, like, hi. It's like, that's like asking somebody for their phone number before you met them to see if you want to go on a date. I'm like, no, the business cards come out later.
Nobody has trained them or has told them that is not only inappropriate, but that's completely in your face and aggressive.
Yes.
Like, I don't need your information if you're not going to like buy me a drink first. Like, and I'm saying that not actually to do that, but like, let's warm it up a bit before you give me your information. Women and men. It's not just, the typical, person that's in the space.
It's like kiss me first kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. It's like, why? I'm not gonna, and if you haven't shaken my hand yet, I'm not gonna take your card, Chad. Right. Like, get out of here. So I kind of flip-flop between the two. I do like QR codes when I speak because it's easy for me to be able to track it through my systems. So I have them scan it. They also get an email with the one pager from the presentation, and that allows me to follow up in a capacity. So from there, I use that. When I'm attending on behalf of an organization, I grab business cards, but I take a picture of them and then I throw it into Slack in a chain. So because I'm going to end up losing that card no matter what I do. I've tried to be responsible. I'm always losing the card. So I take a picture of it, write some notes down, and then at the end of the conference, I go through that thread and I put it into whatever systems I need to follow up on that behalf. I do like the QR code, but sometimes the Wi-Fi sucks and then you're sitting there and you want to connect. And so what I typically do is I don't use the QR code or I don't use the digital business card. And I will ask them like, hey, what's the best way to contact you? And I will shoot them an email saying, hey, it was so good to meet you. I'll follow up tomorrow with more details. So it's in my inbox. It's already there. I'm top of mind. And then I follow up. So you're basically prepping dumb you for smart you or the other way around. You're prepping dumb you by being smart.
Yeah, so I like Popple because then
Popple's great when it works.
yeah, well, it
Yeah.
works for me.
Yeah,
Well, but she's saying
we
if the
tried
Wi-Fi
Popple.
doesn't work or something of that nature.
You
I
know,
like
our whole company tried Popple, and it was. I love the idea; they do a great job. But for whatever reason, when you take a picture of the business card, it just wouldn't transfer into our HubSpot. But Popple is good if you utilize it the right way, for sure.
Well, I've always done where you highlight the QR code on Popple, right? And then
Yep.
and then it opens up on your phone, and then you can you can send the information, your information to me because it's my Popple, and then back. I've only had it one time it didn't work.
Yeah. The only thing I don't like, and again, this is obviously open for discussion. The only thing I don't like about just sharing contact cards is that I have no idea who it is at the end of the day. Meaning I don't know to follow up with them. Like there's not an additional task for me to go ahead and do it. I have to go through, I guess, new contacts. So I like it separate from my phone, and I like it being in emails because it's an additional task I have to do to follow up and remember. So that's the only reason why.
And see, I liked it because it gives me a list of everybody I ran into at the event at the end of the event.
Right. That's right. It does.
Yeah. Now on the other side, you don't get it, but I get it. So it's up to me to make sure I stay in contact with that person. If it doesn't, that's on me anyway.
Oh, for sure. And networking is always on you. Like if you rely on somebody else to follow up, it's never going to happen. You're going to be disappointed. So you being in control of that narrative is always is the number one boundary I set for my team.
Yeah, you were talking about before. I was just at an event, and again, it was bad Wi-Fi in that room. And so everybody was trying to share their QR codes because that's all they had was the tap card or something else, and it didn't work. So I do kind of the best of both worlds. I put my QR code on my business card. So that way
it's already in our face with this card. Did we ask you for your card yet?
Yes, we did. I've shaken your hand, Ed.
Brian and I have had drinks, Edward.
That's right. She showed up at my surprise birthday party. Where were you, Ed?
Is my mom around here or something? Call me.
Oh goodness! So I'm
in California. You guys are in Dallas. You know, I have not been. I stopped going to events about a year or so ago, and just because I was so busy doing so many things, and I said, okay, 2025 is the year I'm going to go back, and it's finding the events I want to go to, and it's got to be some unique thing. And I won't go across country anymore. I won't go from California to Florida anymore. It just that 6 hours I lose, it's just too much to lose right now.
Unless you're doing that and then additional meetings, it doesn't make sense. And it's unless you know exactly who you're trying to meet. And sometimes just, Florida is, and I'm not saying this because it's Florida, but Florida is a very big hub for events. It is. And it's a pain. I hate Florida. I absolutely hate Florida. But for whatever reason, everybody loves to do events in Miami and they like to do it in Florida. So the price we paid, it's got to be a really good event.
Yeah, last time I did that was Florida. Then I had to stop somewhere else, and then I had to go to San Diego, and then we had another event outside of San Diego. You remember that? It was like I was gone for over 2 weeks, and it's like I don't want to be gone that long.
Yeah.
That's Ashley, you did your big one in Scottsdale last year. Are you guys going to do it at the same place again?
Same place. So PIMCon is the Personal Injury Mastermind Conference, and we had it's for personal injury attorneys, and so I'm working with. They gave me way too much power and way too much money. So our event producer is actually somebody that I'm dating. And so we built a huge stage. We had Michael Phelps as our keynote, and we had David Spade as our comedian. So we're working with very large numbers and very high profile individuals. So every year we're doing PIMCon. Last year was our first year. This year we've got lots of stuff going on, and we sold out of all of our booths and the events in October. So clearly we did something right last year. So we're working towards building that up.
Well, uh-oh.
Hi, Brian.
Brian had to deal with something.
Okay.
We're done with Brian for the day. He has to go do I think his daughter's homesick today.
Thanks.
So, all right. So that's the one event. Are you going to do any other events, or is that?
Yeah, we've got some masterminds that we're putting together. I think
outside of the personal industry, personal.
Yeah. I attend. So great question. So our team attends other PI events to promote PIMCon. So my team is going to, I think, 12 to 15 conferences. And so it's sponsoring and setting up the booths and getting so all of that logistical and finding it and budgeting and all that, that's all runs under me. I particularly would like to, now that I have a team and they're going out, I don't have to attend as many. So this year is actually, this is a great question leading into this. I'm actually looking for events for more personal growth for myself. because now I don't have to work like work an event. Now I can just be an attendee, network organically. And so always looking for events like that to help me grow professionally. But since I know the ins and outs of a lot of these events, they're hard to find people that aren't full of it. Like actual events that are just not egotistical people on stages. So those are always fun.
Well,
No,
what
I
I
mean,
like that you have over here on your webpage is that you have an e-course that says show me. You offer to teach people how to do it, right? You offer to teach teams, or you're offering to do it for people completely.
Show me, teach me,
that's
do it for
very
me.
unique, because I'm sure people listening are like, great, she can network. That doesn't help me. But you're literally giving people every single possible option. Take my course, hire me to come teach you, bring in your entire team, or you know what, if you don't want to do it, just pay me to do it. That's very smart.
Thank you, dude. I appreciate that. Yeah, that was it's a whole new event.
Can I talk now, Brian, without you talking over me?
No, I disappeared and came back, so I get my time back.
No, yeah, I've started talking. You had to talk over. So I tell a lot of people is, so in my industry, I don't go to my industry events. I don't need to learn how to do loans better or how to do things faster. I need to learn stuff in other people's industries that I can bring back into my industry and do differently. Right. And I go to so many different ones that are way outside, and people are like, why are you going to that one? Because it's not my industry. I want to see what they have to talk about. What can I bring from there into mine? And that's what we need to do, because too many people go to these other ones and they just go there to please. They don't go there to learn. They just go there to have a good time.
And half the time, especially with the event production process of it, like me going to CES would be a great one to go to, so I can see what other people are doing in their booths. I can see what kind of, CTAs they have. I can take a look at the new technology for our stages, for our, what kind of LED screens they're using. So I'm more able, and the benefit of dating somebody who is in the production space, I get to attend some of their events and watch the background. Like, see what they're doing backstage, understand the logistics of when a speaker comes on, how does X, Y, and Z need to happen? What's the timing look like? What do they need as far as assets are concerned? So our process when we bring speakers on is seamless on both ends. So I did that for a year. I went to all of his events, not because he was there, but because I had access to backstage, and I sat there and just watched. And then if I had the ability to network, I would, but that wasn't my goal. My goal was to observe. So going to other events to understand how things are run is always going to benefit you in general, because your networking is not just it's not just prospect building. It's collaborations. It's ideating. It's getting triggered in a way where you can be creative by an idea that's been set on stage. It's shifting your mindset when someone provides you with some value that you haven't even thought of it in that way, and you needed to hear it. So personal and professional growth can absolutely be done outside of your industry. So yeah, but Ed, you definitely hit it on the head for sure.
Go ahead, Brian.
No, I was going to agree with what you both said. That's the whole thing, is problems aren't tied to one industry. And if another industry solved that problem and your industry haven't, because you're surrounded by people who think like you. So it is good to go to other things and get fresh perspectives, because what's the big business killer? Oh, we've always done it that way. Yeah. And that's the problem, is if you're only hanging out with the same people, going to the same places, it's great to get to hang out and see people again, but are you really walking away with anything new?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, I was interviewing a guy on Helping the Brave the other day, and he was in my industry, and I was telling him how much I would, he's a veteran, but I was just going through how I use AI so differently than everybody else in my industry. And he was like, you do it for that? You do it for that? You do it for that? I'm going to tell him, and it's like, damn, now they're going to do exactly what I'm doing, but it's important to figure this stuff out. So, and how can you use it for yourself to build and make yourself faster and do other stuff that you really want to do. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we all learned that from other areas. Now, are you seeing, besides the PI, the personal injury side of things, events popping back up, getting smaller, getting big? What are you seeing, since you went through so many different ones?
So I think I'm seeing a lot of copy and paste, because you don't necessarily have someone on staff who is trying to build an experience within an event. But I'm also, and again, I'm not an expert on events. I don't have, and as good as I am in this industry, I don't have the hours yet to be called an expert. So I want to make that very clear, and I'm always working towards that. But the experience that I have allows me to see that people who put on events are sometimes it's an ego play, And then you've got people who are putting on events where it's for the academics. So the production value isn't great and people are kind of bored. Then you've got just a trade show kind of thing where it's just kind of, you know, figure it out and kind of go through the motions. But I think events are popping up more, but they don't come back the next year because they're not making money on the event. And so, and most conferences, either in the law space or whatever, they typically don't make money on the event because they don't have salespeople being able to sell them back a house. And so that's a lesson that I learned 2 years ago, is that that's how most money is made, not just from ticket sales or whatever. The Aspire Tour is huge, but they lose a lot of money every year. But they can, because they've got investors and they've got, you know, everything, but they're everywhere. So the Aspire Tour is good to go to, but they have, I think they got Cody for a couple of years, right?
Yeah, they had Cody for a while. Yeah.
But I'd love to see Cody. Am I going to buy a small business? No. Am I going to look at a CEO who's a female who goes out there and kicks ass and I follow her stuff because the way that she communicates, I can retain information? Absolutely. But events, what's the goal for events? And I think some of these people miss the mark. But again, I can only speculate because I can only think from this one event. But I don't also attend events outside of this industry the last 2 years. So I'll definitely get back to you and have a better answer when I have
you actually have one accidentally, and that is the person that we both know just did a LinkedIn article about why larger groups are failing and smaller groups are growing in their events.
No. Dylan, right? I should probably read this article.
You should probably read that one, because what he said is, yeah. So he basically said all the big events that people are like, hey, it did so great, we're just going to keep doing the same thing over and over again. Well, then people stop going. So he referenced in there, look at some of the bigger ones that are gone. So Traffic and Conversion, right, got bought by another company. And what did they do? They tried it 1 year and then they tried to move it to a different location at a bad time. And so Traffic and Conversion, it was good for so many years. And the company that bought it thought, oh, we'll just keep doing what the previous people did. And now it's gone. And he referenced a few other ones that were big ones that are either losing money because what worked from 1 year doesn't always work for the next year. So he talked about they're trying to keep duplicating the one-time success and they end up losing money and then the events go away. And so there's several this year. I think this is the last Growth Con with Grant Cardone, supposedly.
Yeah, Cardone, yep.
The last Funnel Hacking Live with Russell Brunson, you know, and Traffic and Conversion is gone. So there's several of the ones that were the event to go to that won't exist after 2025.
Yeah. Yeah. It's and I don't know those reasons, but I definitely think that egos are definitely involved. I think that unless they have a full understanding of how to make money off of the event, it's not going to be sustainable for a very long time.
I can send you LinkedIn articles.
Yeah, but also the founders of some of these events, when they get bigger and bigger and they made so much money, the question is what's their goal going forward for these events? Right. And I think that's why.
But money shouldn't be the only reason why you put on an event. It's like if your foundation is in community where it does also make money in the back end, then what are you doing an event for except an ego play? So go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I agree, but the problem is after doing it so many years, then you're so successful, someone comes along and says, let us buy it, and they buy it for some ridiculous amount of money. You're going to say, go ahead. But I'm saying, like, you look at Funnel Hacking Live, that was a great time to go to different ones. And now the question is, well, they built their thing a certain way and they all have all these extra companies and everything else they do. At what point with, go high level coming up and everything else they're doing, they're changing a lot of stuff. At what, maybe it's just the coming of age time. They're doing things differently going forward with funnel hacking from what I'm hearing.
It definitely could be. And they could be making, again, more money in the back end where like that marketing play is no longer needed and they built it. Absolutely. I mean, Go Home event was great. They have a great setup. They do a great, I mean, you spoke at that. It's a great setup. And tech companies, tech events, I love going to because they're so innovative and they're a lot more fun because people have higher energy. Right. So PimCon, I definitely look at a lot of tech shows to really bring more innovation to and experience to it because they do it right.
Right. Well, and if you look, even the ones like because we're talking about high level, what did they do? They have their summit. That's the big one that 1,000 people come to, but they just did one in Dubai They've been doing smaller networking groups, and I think they were in Miami a month ago. Then they did Dubai. There's somewhere else coming up soon. So they're not just waiting to have this once a year big event. They still are going to have it because they already announced the dates for 2025. But they're also doing these smaller rooms. And I can tell you, as a speaker and as an attendee, the smaller rooms are where the real networking happens. So you're there to learn and do it, but it's harder for those big companies because speaker fees are high. So unless you're going to price tickets or you want to be a loss leader, that's why a lot of times if they're going to bring in big names, they need to put butts in seats to pay those speaker fees.
And sometimes those people aren't moving the needle on the tickets either. Like I can tell you, like when we had Michael Phelps and we announced him, it did not move the tickets. It was just a cool add-on. So we're actually withholding this year our keynote and making it a surprise. And so that allows us to do some fun marketing with it, but then allows us to not have to worry about that being the reason why people are coming. So
thank you for offering me the job. I appreciate that.
Well, that's just like our Operation Firewalk, right? We had a goal. My goal the first year was just to save one veteran's life. That was it.
Yeah.
That was, so if we had 5 veterans there or 1 veteran there and we saved that life, and we did that. But we had the first year we had, we didn't have a plan for how many people. That was just my goal. The second year, it's still the same goal. We'll max out at 225 people. It's the next year. The question is, where do we go? Because we're going to be way bigger than that. Because there's so many other things that we're putting together. We got tied into UOP, which is a huge university close to us. They have a huge veteran population that goes there, and they spend $20 million at that university a year going to school there. And so there's so many connections that are coming from this over time that the question is, this one is going to grow and grow and grow because of what we're doing. And you want to come back and it's community. Kind of like I would say Funnel Hackers Live was a community, right? Everybody was connected, just like High Level is a community. And that's what I think you have to build that community inside of whatever you're doing and keep that going. And that, and that takes time.
Yeah, it takes brand recognition. It takes authenticity. Like the community didn't come from the conference.
Right.
The community was already built, and they built the conference around the community, which I think is the better option.
Right. So there's a local event here in Dallas called the Dallas Margarita Ball. It's every November, and they start out small, 25, or maybe this is the 50th one. I can't remember how many they've done, but it started very small. Well, up until right before COVID, this event was having 12,000 people there, and it got to be miserable because it was too large. People couldn't move around, bathroom lines built up and everything. So after COVID, they cut it down to like 7,000 people. And now people rave about it because now it's not the annoyance of too much, and I've been to those bigger conferences where, okay, it's in between speakers, everybody run to the bathroom, and then you're spending 30 minutes in line to wait to go to the bathroom because they're trying to get butts in seats, like GrowthCon in Miami. Good example of that. He sold out Marlin Stadium, but when you took bathroom breaks, it took forever. If you wanted to go get food, you're waiting in line for 45 minutes. So it made it kind of unfun. That's why I'm a bigger fan of the smaller ones, is not just the networking, but the overall experience isn't, you're just packed in to sell cheap tickets.
And I went to InvestFest in Atlanta, and because Dylan was putting it on, and I got a chance to be backstage in front of house, and it was like 14,000 people. It was too much, even for me, just too much, because you can't be in the rooms. You're not sitting at a table with 10 other people watching somebody where you can have those conversations. You're in a room with thousands, and you're just trying to navigate yourself through. So I agree with you. I think that's where it's at.
And that's kind of like Podfest. It was huge. So unless you did the VIP or the other level up, where you actually in the special rooms with everybody. And that's like I tell everybody, try to be VIP or if you're going to be at a big place. So that way you can get into the smaller rooms. Yeah. So
well, that's what ticket pricing comes in too, right? You're actually, if you're targeting the right kind of people, you're going to have to engage with a higher ticket price and provide way more value than if you were to do a GA ticket at a certain thing and they don't get enough, right? So it's being able to kind of price out the people that are just going to fill the space and not really build with that community. And I'm not saying it's bad networking. I'm just saying people who aren't necessarily at the level yet to be able to have and to get enough out of an event like this and really utilize the people that are there. Yeah,
get in the room first. Joel's a good example of that, because Joel, because he's going to GrowthCon, he has the high-end ticket, and he said, I will always make my money back. And it's not a cheap ticket. I think it's like 10,000, but he knows the quality of people who are going to spend that much on a ticket, he'll make that money back.
for sure.
Yeah. And that's what, to your point, Ed, sometimes you're paying for access to the same people. So take the Tony Robbins experience. If you buy the certain high-end ticket, that's where all the platinum members are. Well, platinum members spend like $50,000 a year to be a platinum member to get to go to everything Tony Robbins. So if they have 50 grand to drop for Tony Robbins events, they probably have money for whatever kind of business you're in, or they're people that you want to get to know. So we talk back and forth. Sometimes I buy the cheapest ticket in the room just to be seen in that room. And other times I pay more to be around the right audience.
Or he sits in the Starbucks right next to it.
Yep.
Listen, we all gotta make it work.
Well, I'm just saying you hang out.
We all snuck into events, guys. Let's not pretend we're all angels here. I've definitely snuck into
I have
many
never
groups.
snuck into an event. Never.
Oh, come on. That's how you get to know the right people. And then you're able to afford it. But yeah.
But it was like when you went, when Traffic Conversion was in San Diego, you always wanted to be in the VIP area because that's where you ran into. That's how I got on a documentary.
Exactly.
Ran into somebody there that I was introduced to, like walking. We were just introduced and ran into each other in the VIP and we started talking. And then she was asking what I did, told her, and she's like, I want you on my documentary. We're filming this weekend. Can you be down here for that? Yes. I first said, I got to move some stuff around. Let me make sure I can move some stuff around. And then 10 minutes later, I told you, I got it all handled. Thank you. So
I do have to ask, and we do have to wrap up because I know we all have to go here, but one thing that's really unique about your website, Mel Robbins is all the rage right now. Like her new book just came out as well. So it says, as seen on the Mel Robbins show. Tell us a little bit about that.
I replied to a casting call, and I got to go to a show in New York, and I just to go and watch the show. And then I think I was on some list because my information was there, and they had us come back and talk about, I think, relationships with our friends. And I forget what it was. It was so long ago. As you can see in that picture, I'm a blonde. So that's how long ago it was. But the benefit was I got a chance to talk to her about, I think, the relationship I had with my girlfriend. And I think that, and not the animosity, but the issue that there was between her not supporting my business and vice versa. And it was like, you wanted to rekindle the whole thing. So it was very relationship based. I don't think it ever got aired. And if it did, it was on a streaming service. So I just got a picture of it and I was there and I got a chance to talk about my business, which was cool, but it wasn't as prominent as I would have liked it to be. And then her show got canceled. So, but I made friends with Ed. So I made friends with her assistant because I knew her. She was in Philly. She saw me posting and she came in, she saw me. So I have that connection. All the producers I still talk to. So it's just like, regardless of the exposure, I got a chance to get a picture with her. I was on her show and I could say I was on her show, but then I also got the connections in the back end too.
Hey, it's eye-catching. That's what we always talk about, where Steve taught us was, look, it's all about your assets. Were you there? Who'd you get to meet? And are you telling people about the experience you had? It doesn't mean you had to have BFF lifetime relationships with her, but it's a cool talking point that just led to perfect examples, just this.
Yeah, it was cool. It was good. It was a good time.
All right. Well, we do have to wrap
Ashley,
up. Take us out.
Yeah, I'll take us out. But Ashley, if people want to get a hold of you, the best way for them to reach you is?
Sure. Networkingconcierge.com. My email is also ashley@ashleyAssist.com. I respond to the DMs on every single platform, so that might be the fastest way to get to me. LinkedIn primarily. So don't slide the DMs on Instagram. That's weird. But LinkedIn, absolutely.
All right, Ashley, thank you so much for being on the show today. Really appreciate you being here. Brian, again, thank you for being here like you always are. And we want to thank you for watching, because if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be doing this. And if you have any questions or comments for us, just reach out to us. You can DM us, and we will actually get back to you. All right. Thank you both for being here, and we'll be back next week.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.